Here's a video that covers the topic. Is this going to be Rickroll or something?
If you only read the headlines, you'd think that the US is in the middle of a religious revival led by Gen Z. USA Today, Gen Z is returning to Christianity. Axios, young men are leading a religious resurgence. And here's a very confident claim from the evangelical ministry, the Gospel Coalition. It's here. Gen Z revival hits campuses. But if you read sociological data instead of the headlines, the picture looks very different. A real revival would leave a clear statistical footprint, and it's just not there. To see this, let's zoom out and look at one of the most respected studies, the Pew Research Center's 2023-2024 Religious Landscape Study. This is a massive study of nearly 37,000 Americans, designed to track their religious identity, beliefs, and practices over time. And here's the top line finding. Back in 2007, about 78% of American adults identified as Christian. By 2024, that number sat at...
Damn, it is crazy how religious this country is during my lifetime. I got nothing wrong with it, but I'm not a Reddit atheist, bro. I don't care if you're religious. I just, as someone who isn't, it's always shocking to hear how like most people in this country believe in like angels. And it always like kind of blows my mind a little bit. Again, I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't, I'm not bothered by it outside of just like surprise.
Roughly 63%. So the Christian population of the US is dramatically smaller than it used to be.
I mean, listen, I got the spirit in me right now, bro. I got the spirit. Praise the Lord.
But notice here that this long downward slide is not continuing at the same pace. Over the last 5 years or so, the graph has stabilized, hovering in roughly the 60 to 64% range. And we can see this also in measures of prayer and church attendance. The share of adults who say they pray daily, for example, has fallen dramatically since 2007, but since 2021, it has stabilized in the mid-40s. Monthly attendance to a religious service tells the same story.
Bro, I don't think you have to be religious to pray. Am I on a flight and the turbulence gets bad enough? I go, God, if you're there, give me one time. I say, God, give me one time, bro. I gotta shoot my shot just in case, bro. It's just a just in case kind of thing. And then what's funny is whenever I land, I'm like, psych, idiot. Fooled your ass, bro. You should have taken me down. Fooled your ass. Got him. Can't touch me now, bitch.
Off in the low 30s since around 2020. And we also see a slowing in the rise of religiously unaffiliated people, the so-called nuns. That is N-O-N-E-S. The folks who check the none box on the survey question, what religion are you? They make up around 29% of US adults in the latest surveys, and they've been bouncing around that same range over the last few years. In other words, we're not seeing a third great awakening, we're seeing more of a religious plateau, an unmistakable long-term decline in Christian identification and a short-term stabilization. But here's the piece that matters most to the whole narrative of a Gen Z revival. Even though the overall decline has slowed, younger adults...
You know, I do think I've had a religious revival in the past few years. And it's the Church of LeBron James. Oh, this is not even my Lakers hat. It's the Church of LeBron James, bro. I'm seeing a God come to earth. I'm seeing a damn spirit. For him to do what he's doing at 41, tell me that Christ isn't involved. Tell me that's not a sign from God. The Democratic Church of Homeland of LeBron. I praise the king every time he gets out on the court.
Remain much less likely to be Christian than older adults. In that same survey, only around 46% of 18 to 24-year-olds identify as Christian. Only 27% of them pray daily, and 25% attend a religious service monthly. This is a huge generational gap when we compare to older adults.
That is way lower.
The sociologist Ryan Burge, an author of The Vanishing Church, backed this up when he dug into multiple datasets. Using data from the General Social Survey, Burge notes that the percentage of people who say they believe in God without a doubt drops with each generation. Boomers are highest at 57%, and that drops...
That doesn't necessarily say anything because Gen Z doubts everything. Gen Z has no sure belief in anything. The most religious Gen Z is probably like, well, I don't know. God, maybe. I don't want to commit. So they could be more religious, but less confident. In fact, I mean, boomers are just generally more confident about everything, even when it's stupid and wrong. No matter what belief a boomer has, they're more likely to say, I have zero doubts in it, because that's just who they are. Um,
down to 40% with Gen Z. And
and of course, the millennials are right in the middle, which is perfect. Change nothing. Mwah, perfect. You're doing everything right, sweetie. Okay? Just the right amount of confidence.
notes the biggest drop is the most recent shift from millennials to Gen Z, a drop of 8 points of people who confidently believe in God. And when Burge looked at attendance, Gen Z comes out as the least church-attending generation in American history, with only 17% attending weekly. Though the number that really jumps out is the 38% of Gen Z who never attend.
This is what I'm talking about, because I think it's legitimately like golf. I'm not even kidding. Because if you were to say, what is the percentage of people playing a full 18 holes of golf on a traditional golf course? And it's like, that's declining, sure. But golf's clearly more popular than ever. It's because they're doing other things. They're doing driving ranges, or they're doing short holes. And so I think this is what religion is morphing into. But people are still searching for perhaps more than ever, the feeling of community or a purpose that religion gives them, which I don't blame people for wanting to find. The world is having a dearth of it right now. And if you can find a community, then why not do it? I think the best way to do that is through supporting your favorite streamer with gifted subs and watching full watch time of his Big A clips. But I understand there could be other ways to do that. You can find
way higher than any generation before them. As for religious identification, we see something similar with the Pew study. After decades of steady growth, the share of American adults who say they have no religious affiliation has mostly flattened out. So, taken together, is there a Gen Z revival? Well, Gen Z has the lowest levels of confident belief in God, and the highest rates of never going to church of any generation measured. Yes, the explosive growth of religious disaffiliation has slowed, but nothing here looks like a dramatic return to organized religion. Attendance hasn't bounced back, and belief hasn't surged. So if the major datasets all show the same thing, low belief, low attendance, and historically high levels of non-religion among Gen Z, why do we keep seeing headlines about a Gen Z revival? Well, a big part of the answer is that some of these claims are built on flawed data or on media outlets misreading what the data actually says.
Okay.
For example, consider a recent study from the UK making similar claims. A report from an organization called the Bible Society.
If you're in the UK, you should believe in God, because it's your only fucking hope. You better hope there's a fucking British God above. This is the last chance to fucking save Queen and country, bro.
Argued that church attendance in England and Wales had exploded since 2018. According to their numbers, attendance among men aged 18 to 24 supposedly jumped from 4% to 21% in just a few years. But the sociologist David Voas, one of the leading experts on religious change, took a closer look at the data and said, not so fast. The most trusted national survey, the British Social Attitude Study, shows the exact opposite trend.
Okay.
Church-going declined between 2018 and 2023, and individual denominations reported the same, while the Bible Society claimed that Catholic Church...
Yeah, but again, I'm just saying that the difference between church-going and religious is a key part of this. I don't doubt that people aren't going to church, because going to church is a required task that you can't do by sitting at home and being on your phone. You know what I'm saying? That of course people aren't going to go to church. It's awkward. You have to sit there and you have to listen to someone give a sermon. You got to wake up early and all the things. It's inconvenient. But to be part of a group, if you say you're part of a religion, you could go join other people who have that same religion and feel like you're part of a group, or you have a common goal. You have a trust. You have a belief that things will be made all right, that someone's watching out for you. People probably want that, regardless of without the hard part, without the part of...
Attendance had doubled. Data from the Catholic Church itself actually showed a sizable drop during the same period. So where did the whole revival story come from? Voas argues it was the study's methodology. The Bible Society used an online opt-in panel run by YouGov. People volunteer to join these panels, which means the sample is not truly random. And that matters a lot, especially with young adults. They're a notoriously hard group to survey accurately, and the ones who do participate in these online panels tend to look very different from their peers.
Yeah, 100%.
They're the young adults who are more settled, easier to reach, and more likely to already be involved in church life than the average young adult. This can create the illusion of a massive surge, but you're actually just seeing a skewed sample. Dr. Voas's bottom line is the old cliche.
Yeah, opt-in polling is a fucking joke. It is so incredibly skewed. The average normal person opts out of all requests to do anything that they don't understand or know about. A stranger asks you, can I get you some questions? You say no as default, most people, because you don't fucking care. It's a waste of time. It can only go badly for you. You don't. So the people that do it are weird. They're not normal, and it does not produce a reliable
That
outcome.
extraordinary claims require extraordinary data, and the evidence here is just not strong enough. When you compare these revival headlines to the durable long-term surveys, the probability-based ones that actually track national trends, nothing suggests a dramatic return to organized religion in the UK. In other cases, the Gen Z revival narrative comes from misunderstanding the underlying
That's why we need people to scalp our data to pull on our behalf. That's a great idea. I think even better is there should be a Polymarket or Kalshi bet on whether or not you will believe in God that every single individual person can insider trade on. And we can use the aggregate of those data to figure out what they actually believe. Okay? That will get us to a more true north here.
data. Take, for example, this Fox News article from October 2025. Gen Z men returning to church in surprising numbers in faith resurgence. It summarizes the findings of a study conducted by the Barna Group, saying church attendance has increased among Gen Z and millennial men, showing signs of a return to church that surpasses older generations. But that's not what the underlying study shows, not even close. Dr. Burge pointed out the key detail that apparently everyone at Fox missed. The Barna study doesn't measure Gen Z as a whole. It only was looking at Gen Z who are already churchgoers. Not all of young adults, not the general population, just the ones who already attend church. So the study's actual finding is much more narrow. Among the subset of Gen Z who already go to church, they attend slightly more often than the subset of millennials who already go to church. And the difference
No, that's not. Okay. I guess cool.
is not dramatic. Church-going Gen Z attend about 1.9 times per month, and church-going millennials attend about 1.8.
Holy fuck, you Gen Z religious freaks. I mean, I like God as much as the next guy, but you guys are going 1.9 times? Keep it to a reasonable 1.8, you fucking psychos. It's not the Inquisition, okay?
Times per month. But that tiny effect gets translated into the headline, Gen Z men returning to church in growing numbers. And I'm not saying that a millennial or Gen Z revival is impossible, but reversing the current trend would demand a shift on a scale that we've simply never seen in all of American history. And it's truly staggering when you put it into numbers. Dr. Burge points out that to bring millennials back to the level of religious affiliation as their parents, you would need around 10 million millennials to reaffiliate. And Gen Z, which starts from an even lower baseline, you would require around 18 million to reaffiliate.
Let's get it started, folks. Let's get it started. Right here in this Twitch chat, let's get everyone to re-enlist in the church, which has done nothing but good things. We're all going to go to church on Sundays. We're going to prage. I feel God in this chat tonight.
He writes, there's no sign of that happening in any data set. The reality is that there hasn't been a single event in the past 50 years that sparked a sustained, measurable rise in religious attendance in the United States. So the real question is, does this plateau, which we do see in the data, does this signal the start of a religious rebound, or is it simply a pause in a longer-term decline? I think it's simply a pause based on what we know about non-religion and generational change. When people imagine a revival, they picture, dramatic moments, mass conversions, people suddenly flooding back into churches, a sudden spiritual awakening. But religion in the real world usually shifts through generations, parents passing on their religion to their kids.
Yeah.
And a growing body of sociological research shows that non-religion tends to be remarkably stable across generations. A recent study of school kids in England, fittingly titled The Stickiness of Non-Religion, helps to illustrate this.
Okay.
The sociologists found that when parents are already non-religious, their kids typically adopt the same stance through simple absence of religion in daily life. At home, religion is not talked about. There are no rituals, no social or behavioral expectations rooted in a particular religious culture.
That makes sense.
In that environment, not being religious becomes the default. And one of the striking takeaways from this broader line of research is just how strongly this non-religious default carries on forward.
Imagine growing up not religious at all, but choosing to convert to Christianity. And people have done it, but yeah, it does seem pretty rare to like voluntarily opt into all the rituals and smorgasbord. People might do it for a significant other, or they might do it for social reasons. You need a pop in church. True. You need a pop in church. Yeah, that's what I should do, bro. I should give up this Twitch streaming shit, this low limit Twitch streaming shit, and open up a fucking mega church. The Atrioc mega church? That would be sick. A giga church. Get a couple private jets. Get a PJ. Do a lot of light shows. Make it really fancy, bro. The Church of the Holy Glizzy.
One landmark finding from the early 2000s is that if you're raised by two Christian parents in Britain, you have maybe a 50-50 chance of remaining Christian as an adult. But if you're raised with no religion, the odds that you'll stay non-religious are overwhelmingly high, well over 90% in some studies.
Oh, wow.
Of course, we're talking about the UK and not the US, and the US is shown to be remarkably resistant when it comes to secularization compared to Europe. But these studies are why, for me, the idea of a Gen Z revival is so hard to square with the data. If younger generations of Americans are already starting at lower levels of belief and practice, and if non-religion itself is this sticky across generations, then a dramatic return to organized religion becomes even harder to imagine as Gen Z starts to have kids.
So if you were raised by 4 Christian parents, it's 100%. Yeah. Yeah, the trick for religion is to get 4 parents in there who are all deeply religious, and then guaranteed that kid will be. No, it's really smart.
So when you hear claims about a Gen Z revival, everything we're seeing across belief, behavior, belonging, and childhood transmission points to not a resurgence, but a plateau.
If you are the church and you want to get young people to become religious, here's what you do. I'll give you the game plan right now. You create a iPad software that teaches kids Christian faith, tradition, and values. And then you give out free iPads to stressed out millennial parents that only play Jesus Cocomelon. It's like steal the Christian brain rot in Roblox. Yeah. And you just start passing out this shit. And then every stressed out parent uses this free iPad, gives it to their kid. The kid watches fucking VeggieTales 2.0 or whatever. The Vatican literally made an anime? Wait, really? Vatican anime. Oh, yeah, they made a mascot. Wait, is this real? Loose? The Vatican unveiled the official mascot of the Holy Year 2025, Loose. It was inspired by the church's desire to live even within the pop culture so beloved by our youth. That's wild. You ever seen the movie Dogma?
While it has been a time-honored symbol of our faith, Holy Mother Church has decided to retire this highly recognizable yet wholly depressing image of our Lord crucified. Christ didn't come to earth to give us the willies. He came to help us out. He was a booster. And it's with that take on our Lord in mind that we've come up with a new, more inspiring sigil. So, it is with great pleasure that I present you with the first of many revamps the Catholicism Wow campaign will unveil over the next year. I give you the Buddy Christ. But that's not the sanctioned term we're using for the symbol, just something we've been kicking around the office. But look at it. Doesn't it pop, buddy Christ?
Buddy Christ. It pops, dude. It pops. It makes you want to get religious. I think I'm Christian now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What kind of a priest would bless their golf clubs? You've seen the movie. Do you think TikTok could cause a resurgence in religion if they wanted to? If they wanted to? I think there is a spirituality rise on TikTok. That's probably causing some of this, but not a church and church attendance. What's your favorite Bible passage? I bet it's 2 Kings. What? This is my favorite Bible passage. Let me look it up. Well, I can't. In 2 Kings 2:23-25, the prophet Elisha is mocked by a group of youths while traveling to Bethel. They chant, "Go up, Baldy." No, that's not my favorite passage. Thank you for asking. No. It's not my favorite passage.
And possibly beneath that plateau, the stickiness of non-religion that tends to flow in one direction generation after generation. So despite the headlines, the data leads us somewhere much less dramatic, and a lot of that comes down to how we understand the information we're swimming in. And one of the best creators exploring that broader media landscape is Lindsay Ellis. If you look at her YouTube channel, you might think that she's posted, one video in the last year? But that's because most of her stuff is now exclusive to Nebula. Her newest video essay is The Macabre World of Body Cam YouTube, a deep dive into this unsettling little corner of YouTube that packages police body cam footage into entertainment. And because it's Lindsay Ellis, it's smart, it's dark, and it's doing the thing that she does best, pulling apart an entire genre and showing you why it matters. And you can watch that in all of her other video essays on Nebula. Nebula is a...
it's just an... Okay, it's a Nebula. I was like, how does it have to do with religion?